Hey, how's everybody doing? It's your old buddy, your old pal, Steve, coming to you one more time before I head to Texas. Exactly in 1 week, I will be going to Texas and starting on the prep for the Sawyer Massacre. And we go to camera in 2 weeks. So this will be the last live stream I do before all that. You won't see me until probably... I'm going to say you probably won't see me till April after today doing a live stream anyways. Probably not. Let's see who we've got in the chat so far. We've got Christian Spencer says, hey. I'll do the old. So we show him. Hey, says Christian Spencer. Susie Lopez, hello. Matt Skinner. Hey, Steve. Santi Coronas. Hey. John from Behind the Fiends. Howdy, everyone. Hey, John. And the wonderful Amy Crabtree is here as well. Hey, Steve. Hey, Amy. You are awesome. We'll miss your lives. Yeah, I know. I'm going to be gone for pretty much a whole month. I'll be gone for 3 weeks in Texas. I'm going to try to do some little updates and stuff like that while I'm there, which I should be able to do. But it's very, very exciting. 2 weeks away. I'm pretty nervous. I'm not going to lie. I'm nervous about it, but excited at the same time. This is going to be a tough movie to film. It's going to be tough to film, but I think we're going to pull it off. I hope I'm not jinxing it. Knock on wood. It hasn't been the smoothest pre-production. I'll say that there has been some behind-the-scenes stuff that, I'll get into after we film this thing. I don't want to talk too much about it at this point. We do have a guest tonight that's going to be on the show with me. I'll announce him in a bit, but I do always want to do my shout outs to some of my favorite people that have been supporting me, and I love their work, so I'll support them too. So once again, Michelle at Breathless Beauties, if you're not familiar with her work, Michelle Appollonia, Breathless Beauties, her links are in the description for these awesome horror-themed dolls. Follow her on Instagram, and she has a Facebook page as well. She is totally awesome. And then our good friend Michelle Blasky, who's making the third channel. Watch out for her next Indiegogo campaign. She also does this really cool, obscure art that I really dig. So, yeah, definitely go and go support her as well. Links are in the description. Thank you so much. Just amazing people that I really love. And support them to the end because I love good art. Simple as that. I love good art. Okay. So, without further ado, I'll bring our guest on. Our guest is a good friend of ours. He is preparing. I think he might be preparing to make 2 films. I'll let him talk about those. He's seen the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so we're both going to talk about it pretty heavily tonight. I hadn't originally planned to have him on, but he reached out and said, "Hey, can I come on and we can chat about it together?" I was like, sure, why not? New chatter here, Brock Lesnar. This movie was awesome. What are you talking about? We're talking about the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film tonight. And hey, Jason, the J-Man's Movie Cave. Hey, Steve. Hey, Jason. How are you doing? I haven't seen you do a review on the film yet. maybe you've done it. I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out. But without further ado, we'll bring on tonight's guest. His name is, he's the one and only Anthony Kamino. Hey, Anthony, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, can't complain. I got this nasty cough, so I hope I'm not going to hack my way through this whole live stream tonight.
That's all right. But I know a lot of people are sick right now.
It's just a weird cough. I get this weird cough from time to time. It had to happen right before I'm going to Texas, didn't it?
Just happens that way.
J-Man says he just finished doing it. So, okay, he's going to have a review coming pretty soon.
Cool.
That's awesome. And we've got that weird troll chatter in there again. Whatever. All good. I don't even know what that is, to be honest. Love Face XYZ online strips without clothing.
I don't know. It sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good to me, you know. I'm getting you. I have no idea where this person came from, but it's the same thing every week now. But whatever. I don't care. Whatever. What can I say? Anyways, before we get into talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, we'll just call it that. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what you've got going on.
So I'm an independent music and film producer. Right now I'm working on a live action full-length feature film based on Batman, The Killing Joke. It draws inspiration from the infamous graphic novel. I'm also working on a slasher film. It's an original film called The Flower City Butcher. So the Indiegogo campaign for Batman is live March 1st, so coming up pretty soon. And then the Indiegogo campaign for The Flower City Butcher goes live April 1st, and that'll be alongside the second campaign for Michelle and Blasky's The Third Channel. So so we'll be cross promoting a little bit, I hope, and I'll be supporting The Third Channel as much as possible. Also, Sam Hain has a second campaign going live on the first or on the same day, so April 1st would be their second campaign. So I'm just trying to help promote and support those as much as I can. I also have a couple songs in a couple different films that are in post-production right now. So one is The Bleeding Dark, and the other one is Cross Hollow, and those are both by Jason Hawkins, and those should be out later this year.
Oh, awesome. So you're a busy guy. Now, yeah. Are you directing these films, or like have you directed a film before, or are you just producing?
Just producing. With the Batman, I'll have some help with the directing because I don't want to mess that up.
That's one you don't want to mess up. That's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm pretty bright when it comes to that. I'm smart enough to surround myself with some talented people. So I've been in talks with I've been in talks with some different people about maybe bringing them on board for Batman. With the other one, The Flower City Butcher, that might actually be my first crack at directing more so than the Batman film. But even with that one, I would have some help on set, so you guys don't have to worry about me doing it alone or anything.
Well, you should never do these things. Is the Flower City Butcher going to be a short or a feature?
Feature length, full length film.
That's going to be feature. Ooh, I always suggest your first film to be a short. If it's your first, have you directed anything before?
I've just done little clips before. Nothing too long. Nothing that I would show anybody.
Well, you're jumping in to definitely get lots of experienced help. That's all I can say. I mean, it's directing is tough. It's really tough. You got to be super hands-on. You have to be super thorough as a director. Just coming from experience,
right?
Like me doing this film. This is the biggest film I've ever done, and I've got so much work I'm doing just in the pre-production. I have, as a director, you have to make shot lists. Some people are picky about storyboards. I'm not, but some people are. So you have to have all these things to be a good director. You have to be good at making your call sheets and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of work. So be prepared. That's all I can say. Be very, very prepared.
I appreciate it.
And if you ever need any advice on how to do any of this stuff, I mean, shot list is essential as a director. You have to have a shot list, and you have to think it out pretty well, because that will, if you don't have a good shot list, your movie is screwed. I'm going to tell you that. Never try to make a movie without a shot list.
Yeah, I always try to reach out and ask as many questions as possible. I've I've messaged you a bunch of times, and you always respond and give me good advice. So I appreciate it very
I would
much.
love to give you more of these days, but I'm so busy focused on my own thing.
I know it.
So it's all good. I think we got some new chatters here. Let me just double check. We saw J-Man. We got Carlos from the Lazy Reviewer joined in. Hey everyone, thank you for joining in, buddy. And DCF, who's DCF? Leatherface and the gore is definitely the best part of this movie, but it didn't feel like Texas. I know, I live in Texas. Well, yeah, I don't live in Texas, and I feel like I could see that. So thank you for the comment. We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna dive into it. I'm not going to absolutely shit on this film, just so you know. I mean, there are some positive things about it. And maybe it's just me that I had my expectations so low. I kept my expectations real low, but I actually didn't have a terrible time watching this movie. That does not mean it's a good film. I mean, I can't call it a good film, but there were some nice surprises. Not great surprise, but there was like, okay, that's not bad. But yeah, it definitely didn't feel like Texas, like DCF says. Thank you for joining the chat, DCF. I'm not sure if I know who you are or not, but thank you for joining. How about you? Like, what are your initial thoughts? We'll just call these initial thoughts.
I set the bar pretty low. I went in with pretty low expectations, and just figured if I could come out with any positives, that would be a win for me. So I went in just expecting the worst, hoping for the best, and there was some stuff about it that I enjoyed. Some stuff that as a nitpicky Texas Chainsaw fan, I probably would have done differently, especially with the story, the setting. I don't know how far into it you want me to go right now.
Well, how about this? We'll talk positives first. Let's talk about things that we liked about the movie. Just to start on a good note. Hey, there's Michelle Blasky from the Third Channel. Hey, Steve, popping on for a sec. Hey, thank you for saying hi, Michelle. I appreciate that. I know Michelle. I don't think Michelle has seen it yet, but I do appreciate you saying hi. If you don't want spoilers, we are going to talk spoilers here. It's almost impossible to not talk spoilers with this movie at this point.
We're going to spoil it. And again, Michelle Lynn Blasky is director of The Third Channel. It's an unofficial sequel to Halloween 3, and her second Indiegogo campaign goes live April 1st.
So if you love Halloween 3, like I do, I know it's hit and miss with people, but I love it. I absolutely love Halloween 3.
Yeah.
You go support her Indiegogo, because you know what? I've read the script. I'm a producer on this movie.
Yeah.
And I read the script, and this is what we need. This is totally what we need in the horror world. Nothing against Michael Myers, but I think I feel like we're out of stuff that we can really do with the character now. And there is something really cool you can do with Halloween 3, a sequel to Halloween 3. Not everybody's a fan, though. I know that, but I'm just telling you, go check it out. Go check it out. So her campaign's going to go live in April, I think.
April 1st is the second campaign. So she'll have a bunch of cool perks available for anyone that wants to donate and check it out. And she's super talented, man, super bright. And I believe in her. So
there you go. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. Oh, and there's our good friend Mandy Cantone.
Hi,
Mandy has been super helpful to me lately, because she has, and there's Christian Spencer as well. Hey, Christian. But Mandy is helping me with some of the production coordinating stuff for my film. Cool. It's been a lot of work, so she's helping me with a lot of that stuff. So thank you so much, Mandy, for for doing that, for being a part of our wonderful film and coordinating things a bit.
Yeah, and Mandy is
production coordinating is a tough job. That's something you need to have too, if you're in the film business. A good production coordinator.
Yeah, Mandy is the co-host of Behind the Fiends with John Evans, who's also in the chat. Awesome people. Awesome people.
Cool. Oh, and Aaron Johnson has joined as well. Hey, Aaron, how you doing? Looking forward to this one. Thanks, man. Thank you.
Very cool.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk positives.
Cool.
Let's start with some positives about the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What are some good positives you have?
Well, the people that are looking forward to a lot of kills would not be disappointed because there are a lot of kills in the movie.
Definitely.
I don't hate the idea of the ghost town. You know, I'm a big fan of ghost towns in real life. And so just having that different setting was kind of fun. I don't think they've ever done that in a Texas Chainsaw film. You know, we get to see Leatherface is in the movie a lot. You know, the last Leatherface film didn't really show too much of him in the mask. This one, he's in the mask the whole time. There are some unique kills, you know, whether we like them or not, it's kind of, you know, up for debate, but there are a lot of, you know, some interesting kills. The scene where they're in the back of the police car there, and he, you know, the spoiler alert, but he breaks the guy's arm, the guy's bone pops out, and he stabs him in the neck with his own
bone. Yeah,
with his own bone. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So they had some unique kills in there. Special effects weren't terrible. It looked pretty good for the most part. You know, I like the way it ended. It was true to the Texas Chainsaw style. One victim gets away, and we're left with Leatherface in the background. Of course, again, I have to keep stopping myself because I know this is a spoiler review. So part of me is trying not to give the spoilers away, but this is a spoiler review.
You give the spoil. This is spoilers. We can talk as much spoilers as you want, sir. Because,
right.
You know, that's why I waited a few days. I didn't do this live stream like right after the movie came out. No, I waited till Monday. That's enough time.
Right.
That's enough time in my opinion. That's enough time. We can spoil the hell out of this thing now. If you haven't seen the movie, then just come back another time. Watch this on the rerun. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, so I like that you know, one victim got away and Leatherface is left alive at the end, because then that sets up the idea in my head that victim could get away to tell the story, so that this may have actually happened. And Leatherface is still out there, and he's a real guy, and he's waiting for me.
There you go.
So I like that. I like the post-credit scene. I don't know if you saw the post-credit scene, but it's him walking back toward the original house. Very, very cool. So maybe he'll find a new family, and we'll be.
Do you think Grandpa's still alive?
I think he's hanging around. I think he's in the house just waiting for him to come home.
Probably be 170 probably at this point, if he was still alive.
He's been, I think he's still there.
maybe. Could be. You never know, right? That's, you know, but yeah.
Yeah.
Any other positives you want to talk about?
They had some swerves in there. You know, they make you almost feel like maybe the police officers, the sheriff was a bad guy. It keeps you on your toes a little bit. They did the same thing with the guy in the truck with his gun. Made you think he was more of like a threshold guardian at one point. I think that's how they used him, and it turned out to be a good guy. Some of the acting wasn't terrible across the board. I would say it wasn't the best, but you know, some of it wasn't awful.
True.
They have to add They have to add, you know, when you talk about like a hero's journey, you look at the different character arcs, and you see the jokester, the prankster, that kind of thing. It's oftentimes like mistaken for comedy, straight up comedy. And I think that's where they got the bus scene from, with the whole, you know, we're going to cancel you, bro. And I think they went a little bit over the board with it, but at least they hit those marks. You know, there's a mentor. They had Sally as the mentor. The comedy was in there. The threshold guardian was there. Main antagonist, protagonist. for the most part, it was there. They're missing a couple beats, but yeah, I'm just trying to give it as much credit as I can.
No, it's all good. I mean, I can echo a lot of that stuff. Let's talk about Leatherface first.
Yeah. Sure.
Oh, looks like we got another new chatter. We'll talk about but we got Nona Chan in the chat. Thank you for tuning in, Nona Chan. Don't be sorry for being late. It's all good. Brock Lesnar says Drayton Sawyer may still be alive. He may. I mean, he's not the actor that played him sure isn't, but he would be over 100 by now. I think if Jim Sedow was still alive, I think he would be over 100. But it's possible. Let's talk about Leatherface though, particularly because it was kind of good to see a bit of return to the same, the old style of Leatherface. I thought the actor that played him actually did a fairly good job. I wasn't huge on the mask, but under certain angles, it doesn't look that bad. It actually, I would say it's definitely not the worst Leatherface mask I've ever seen. So I mean, it actually looked good in some lighting. There was some other lighting that it didn't look very good, and sometimes it was just too covered in blood or something like that, and it looked kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
But in certain, I personally felt it looked good in certain, like when he got on that bus. He looks good in that blue lighting. He looked like that's what I would picture Leatherface to look like. Now I'll say this though. There's no way I could believe he was 70 plus years old. I'm not saying that it's impossible for a 70 plus year old person to be that physically fit, but it's a little hard to believe that Leatherface would be moving that like that at 70 in his 70s. So 70 plus, in my opinion, I would feel like he'd be in his probably mid 70s by that point. But I mean, he was a pretty Leatherface finally got a massacre with this movie. I don't feel like any of the other movies Leatherface really got a full-on massacre. Whereas in this film, he killed a lot of people. I think some of the other movies have a fair amount of kills, but there's like kills by other people in the movies. Like I think some of his brothers had some kills, and I know in the last Leatherface movie, some of those other side characters did a lot of kills. So, and it was really not that much Leatherface killing. So this one I can safely say it lives up to the name Massacre. You do get a massacre in it, and I feel like we've been kind of gypped on that with a lot of the movies, even the original. I mean, I love the original for what but it doesn't really feel like we got 4 people killed in that movie, right?
Right.
And the hitchhiker got run over, so maybe you can count 5, but that wasn't a Leatherface kill. So I mean, Leatherface killed 4 people in the original movie. So this one really lives up to the word Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I have to give some props to because I've been kind of wanting that a little bit. I've been wanting it at least a little bit. So we finally got that. But yeah, I mean, I thought Leatherface as a whole was not bad. He wasn't as scary as I wanted him to be, though. And I think it's how overall it was filmed, or how the storytelling was more than anything else. I think that's one of the downfalls a little bit for me. What do you think about all that, though?
Well, I do like that. For the fans' sake, I guess I like that they had a lot of kills. I don't necessarily think that the Texas Chainsaw movies have to have a lot of kills on screen because we're supposed to believe that a lot of the deaths happen off screen before we even see Leatherface. We believe that this is something that they've been up to for a while. In this film, are we still on positives? Am I allowed to say negative things?
Yeah, you can, but try to keep it geared more. I mean, I can echo that a little bit. I think I personally think Leatherface should have a lot of kills, but we don't necessarily need to see them all. A lot of them can be done off screen, and for me personally, I think sometimes that's more powerful to have a lot of off screen kills where stuff is implied, and maybe even you think you saw it, but you didn't really, So I can definitely echo that for sure.
I would definitely, I want to keep it as positive as I can for now. But as far as the mask goes, it wasn't my favorite mask. I just wasn't crazy about the mask. Might want to talk about that a little bit more later in this segment.
Yeah, but again, I think from certain angles it looked good. From in certain shots it looked better than others.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
yeah, overall it was kind of weird. But you know what? It's not the worst. I don't think it's the worst mask. And it was good to see the butcher's apron full out.
Yeah,
He feels like
yeah,
Leatherface when he's wearing that butcher's apron. I feel like the butcher's apron is pretty essential to his look, in my
yeah.
opinion. I want to see that butcher's apron more often, and we don't really get it too much. We've
Right,
gotten different aprons, I think, from different versions of the character, but that classic like old yellow butcher's
yeah.
apron, it's I think of Leatherface every time I see it, and I think it's imperative to have that apron in the movie somewhere, at least.
I like the way the actor moves around a lot. There's
Mhm.
a certain way that you have to act when your face is covered. You can't rely on facial expressions to act and to tell the story. So you have to physically move a certain way to tell the story. And I think the actor behind the
Mhm.
mask did a great job of that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not, a lot of people think that you can just stick anybody big in the
Right,
mask, in the costume, and there's your Leatherface. You got to actually find somebody who's got the right physical movements. I mean, that was
right,
proven, and that was really proven with Michael Myers in the new films. It's the one big thing I love about these new Halloween movies is Michael Myers. If we didn't have Michael Myers in those movies, I would find them to be a big waste of time.
right.
Uh, but I mean, I still don't find myself having a lot of rewatchability with those. But geez, man, I love how well James Jude Courtney does Michael Myers. So I don't know if I could say Mark Burnham's quite there with Leatherface. I don't. He's not Gunnar Hansen, but he's
Right,
definitely not the worst I've ever seen.
right.
That's for sure. And you know, I kind of wish they said it maybe in the 90s or something so that, he wasn't quite so old. And
Yeah,
the fact is that's how he's moving. And he's moving more like a 40 or 50-year-old guy rather than, a guy in his 70s. So it makes more
exactly.
sense. Well, I know we just always have to set movies in modern times. I don't feel the need, but got to make it relatable to the millennials, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you there. I wasn't going to comment too much on the way he moved yet, just because, or on his age too much, just because I know we want to keep the positive part of the segment. But yeah, I completely agree. He felt more like a 40, 50-year old than a 70 or 75-year
Yeah,
old or however old he's meant to be in the
for
movie.
sure.
Yeah,
For sure. Let's go to the chat a little bit and
yeah.
see if we've got sorry guys. Darn cough. Let's just see what we've got here. The J Man's Movie Cave really lacked in tension and atmosphere. Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely can't disagree with that. Carlos from the Lazy Reviewer says, I hated that because it defeats the purpose of Leatherface. He's scary because he's human, not a supernatural threat. I think there's probably a comment I missed. But yeah, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Probably this comment. He's supposed to be in his 70s. In the movie, he's shot twice. Yeah, he shot twice, was cut by a chainsaw and stabbed, and he's still standing. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Carlos was referring to. This guy took a lot of hits. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Leatherface took a lot of freaking hits in this movie, and I again, we're supposed to stay on positives, but it's hard to, isn't it? I'll get my other positives out of the way, but let's just see if there's. Kristen Spencer has a question. My question is, do you think there'll be a sequel to this film?
What do you
If it
think?
makes a lot of money on Netflix, it will. Apparently, it did pretty well its opening weekend, so I don't know exactly how. I don't know how to count the numbers, but it was the number one film on Netflix over the weekend. So I mean, I'm guessing Netflix did pretty well because of this movie. So again, they have the distribution rights to this one film.
Right.
So I mean, it's really Legendary that has the film rights. I'm not sure if I mean they I think they sold it to Netflix for such a cheap amount. At least I mean it was never disclosed how much Netflix bought it for, but I feel like Netflix is probably winning on this, whereas Legendary just maybe they made their production money back.
Right.
Maybe Netflix bought it for what they sold it and there wasn't a loss.
Right.
Whereas Leatherface from 2017, that movie was probably made for the same amount of money, like $10 million, and
Right.
it didn't even break $1 million in sales. So that was a big loss.
Yeah.
So it was DirecTV. It's not Netflix is bigger. Obviously, you're going to make more money on Netflix, but it was DirecTV, a minimal theatrical run. So I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know how these numbers work with that. I know it'd be easier if it was dropped in theater and we got to see a box office report. I don't know if we can see box office reports with Netflix, but I imagine at some point it will be posted how much it's made. But we'll see. We'll see. It's hard to say if they'll make another one. I mean, there could be a good sequel to it, but I just feel like the sequel would be totally wrong.
Yeah.
It'll be something totally stupid. I think it'll be somebody like the one of the victims of the bus massacres. One of those their parents or their loved ones are going to go for revenge on Leatherface now. It'll be something like that.
All right.
You could totally predict something like that. My son was on this bus. I'm going to get the killer that did. It's
Right.
I don't know what to say. New chatter, Mega Movie Z. Hey, how you doing? I'm not sure if we've had you here before or not, but welcome. We're talking the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Thank you for tuning in. Any other good questions? Let's see. John from Behind the Fiend says, I like the way he displayed his mother's body. It was a nice call back to the opening on the 74. Yeah, opening on the 74. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I would say that was kind of a nice touch. After he cut her face off and everything, and word, I guess,
Yeah, it was sweet of him.
that was very sweet of him. Like a monument, like we had, like at the opening of the original film. I got that for sure. That was kind of good.
Right.
Carlos says probably there will be. It's on Netflix. They're talking about it here. Yeah. Any other good comments? Matt Sinner, thank goodness my suspension of disbelief works.
Matt Skinner's a cool guy. Him and his son Charlie are supportive of the.
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
They are totally awesome.
Yeah.
J-Man's Movie Case. Hi, hey Wolfman. Who's Wolfman? Oh, is that Mega Movie Z? I think so, because he replied, "Hey J-Man." Can't wait for your film to come out and forget about this awful requel.
I think we all feel that way.
I hope we nail it. That's all I can say. I mean, our film is going to be tough to make. We are definitely got our work cut out for us. Just so you know, I'm always trying to come up with backup ways to do stuff in case we can't do things a certain way. Is like, well, what can we do in case this doesn't work out or this doesn't work out? It's definitely your brain is pre-production. My brain is thinking a million things at once. It's I'm surprised I was able to do this tonight. In fact, I'm really surprised. I think I'm leaving. I'm going to be in Texas in a week, and I'm doing a live stream before. Anyways, Santi Coronas, I was really disappointed with how they treated Sally. I mean, she is an iconic character, and her appearance was so short. In my opinion, they killed an iconic character that didn't need to be killed. I don't think she needed to be in this movie at all. but we'll get to that more when we get to negatives. But needless
agree.
to say, I definitely agree.
I agree.
It's definitely one of the biggest flaws of this movie.
Sure.
But as far as there being other positive, the cinematography was really good.
Yeah.
Did it necessarily suit a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film? Hard to really say, because some of the other things about this movie kind of kill it a little bit. And again, that'll go in the negatives. And again, like you said, some of the acting was pretty good. And not all of it, mind you. I'm 50-50 on the acting, but some of it was pretty good. But overall, I think that's my positives. I think that's all I really have
I'm
good
with
to
you
say about this movie.
I'm with you. I'm right there with you.
So I know, I can tell you've been keeping it to you, and you want to jump into the negatives. Go
Mhm.
ahead, give me your negative. What do you hate the most about this movie? What was the worst thing for you about this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film?
They turned it into a film and they told us a story instead of giving us an experience. And that's what Texas Chainsaw Massacre is about. It's about experiencing this thing that's happening. It's not about a story that's unfolding. And I think that's really what they tried to do. And they took so many missteps. I mean, if you're going to go that direction, they took so many missteps with it. Sally is put in there for two reasons: for the nostalgia factor, and because they need a mentor when it comes to a hero's journey. If you're looking at all the tropes, you need a mentor, and so Sally was that mentor instead of maybe one of the officers or the orphanage, or it could have went in so many different directions, and they just didn't. So a lot of the acting was poor. The fact that they had a 30-year-old Leatherface in an orphanage, from the age of 30 to 70, he was in this orphanage with this lady. It's kind of silly. The fact that this kid could afford to buy this ghost town was silly. Leatherface is meant to. The whole point of having the different masks on Leatherface is to give Leatherface a personality. So if he put on the face of this woman that took care of him and cared about him for so long, he would have taken on that personality of the caregiver.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but instead of doing that, he became, butchers. After God knows how, for all we know, he might have been not killing for the past 40 years, and now that he puts this lady's face, the lady dies, boom, he's right back to killing. It was kind of silly.
Yeah, it didn't make much sense to me.
No, me either.
And I heard Fede Alvarez, I think it was Fede Alvarez, one of the producers on, I think, when interviewing Bloody Disgusting, this saying that the reason why he's just coming back now is he was in hiding and trying to be a good person and live a normal life all these years, and not kill and do the right thing. And you didn't really get much of that in this film. You didn't without Fede Alvarez saying that in Bloody Disgusting, I never would have thought that that's what was going on. I would be totally confused. I feel like he said that to kind of prepare people for what the idea was for Leatherface in this movie. It didn't make much sense to me. It really didn't make much sense to me. And again, I don't know. He put on his not his mom's face, I guess, but this basically his mom.
Right.
And he goes, and that makes, and he's the biggest killer because of, I don't know. It's just, I think people forget that that's why he wears masks, is to take on a personality.
Right.
And it's just, oh no, he's got to wear a mask. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that aspect as well. What is, I mean,
big misstep.
And to echo your stuff about Sally being like a mentor, well, I get that, but what kind of a mentor was she really?
Not a good one.
Was she supposed to be a mentor to the protagonist?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, they had hardly any time together, and it's like Sally just got her into more trouble. I mean, it really didn't make any sense. It didn't really make any sense.
Poorly written.
And here's another thing I want to touch on real quick before I get into the real negatives for me. Because this is kind of semi-positive. I do want to give a semi-positive thing here, but execution sucked with this positive. We've seen a lot of people talk about the anti-gun rhetorics on this movie.
Right.
Mr. H, who I've been following on this movie for a while because he had the leaks, he was talking about it. And yes, on its surface, I think this movie really looks like it's anti-gun. However, if you pay close enough attention, it's not really anti-gun.
Right.
So this is kind of a positive on the movie. Not that I'm for guns and all that stuff. I mean, it's not neither here or there. It's the fact that, guns aren't bad, people are bad. And the people that have them are bad. And but that doesn't mean everybody should have a gun, And the idea, all the anti-gun stuff you see with the school shooting with the main character, and you get this big anti-gun vibe. What I think that they were trying to go for, though, and you see it a little bit, was this character who's obviously the protagonist. I totally forget the character's name, mind you, because she's so forgettable. I mean, everybody's so forgettable in this movie. But I mean, I think the idea with her was for her to be like a total anti-gun person, somebody who's had all this trauma from guns, and then because of the situation she's in the movie, learns to accept that guns are going to help her, which ultimately you see her shoot Leatherface, and you see, so she gets to that point where she can actually fire a gun to save her sister or save her life or whatever. It's just very poorly executed, so that it doesn't really come across that that's the character arc for that character. It's meant to be a character arc. It's just so poorly executed that it's easy to look at that whole thing and say, this is anti-gun. This is an anti-gun movie. So, I mean, I will kind of, it's kind of me defending it, but at the same time, saying it was sloppily done, which it totally was sloppily done. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point you're going to get Fede Alvarez or the director or somebody saying, well, movie's not really anti-gun. When you look at it, look at it this way. And it's true, but you got to do a better job. You got to get that story arc in there a little bit better. And I don't think they did. I think it was too subtle for a lot of people, and they pushed her trauma too much. If they didn't push her trauma that much, it wouldn't have come across as anti-gun, I think. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Just maybe a new perspective for people to look at about that. Anyways, any other negatives you want to touch on?
Oh, there were a whole bunch of negatives. The family aspect, I think the original movie worked out so well because there were so many people involved with Leatherface, and this movie is kind of solo. So they have the dynamic with the mother, quote unquote mother character, but she's gone right away.
She's gone right. I mean,
and she's clearly supposed to be a voice of reason when it comes to the killing and all that stuff. So for him to kind of be on his own, just running around killing people, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I get that he's defending the house because that's what he's supposed to be doing. He's reactionary. He reacts to things. So somebody comes into the house, he gets scared, and that's why he kills them, or he's afraid of what might happen to him. His family might abuse him or look down on him or whatever if he doesn't act a certain way. But in this movie, he's on his own. He's just on a rampage, killing people. Leaves the house, goes through this ghost town to kill people. So I think that there's a certain dynamic that was missing because they didn't have the family involved.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Do you agree?
No, I agree. I mean, I am missing the family in this movie. I don't think you need to really necessarily have the family in a huge dose. But they need to be present in some way, and maybe I would have been okay with it with the old lady if she was there the whole time, and maybe she was kind of that voice telling him to do what if she was the voice in his head telling him to kill people for taking over their house or something. If that ended up rather than her dying and then he's just by himself and I'm gonna kill everybody because she's dead now. That's kind of what it felt like. Is like she's dead. I'm gonna get revenge for her death. Was that what they're going for? Was Leatherface taking revenge.
Right.
I don't know, man. It just that doesn't feel like Leatherface to me.
Right. Same.
Yeah, I mean, there. I feel like there was opportunity for some good things here too,
there
but again, it's the
misdirection.
writing. It's the
Yeah.
writing. Anyways,
The writing was not that
let's
great.
go back to the chat here for a bit. Let's see what some people are saying. I hated what they did with Sally. Basically, turn her into Laurie Strode 2.0. Yeah, we'll get to that too.
Yeah.
Sandy Coronas, can we talk that picture? The hitchhiker take was burned by. I know what you're talking about. I think that was meant to be a picture actually taken by Sally, though, is what it was implying, that was a picture she took, and that's why she had it. It wasn't meant to be a picture that the hitchhiker took, because you notice Sally's not in that picture, so that would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, but I've seen a few people get confused on that. It is a little bit confusing. You think it's the picture that the hitchhiker took, but it's not. Because Sally would have been in that one. Why did the blonde woman in the van play dead? Why didn't she jump out and run away in the van? Oh, like
poor writing.
Poor writing. Yeah, exactly. Because we have to have stupid people in these movies.
Yeah,
which is it's another one of my big flaws. I mean, the characters were really dumb characters in this movie. It's not so much that the actors did a poor job acting them. I think some of these actors did the best they could with what they were giving.
Right.
Terrible character writing. Terrible. I don't get it. Matt Skinner. I love unlikable characters in horror movies because it's more satisfying when they die. It's fun cheering for the killer.
It's interesting.
I think it depends on the type of horror movie. I think for me personally, I like that when we're going for a horror comedy. When we're going for a nice campy slasher, the funny ones.
Like Tucker and Dale kind of thing.
But to me, Texas Chainsaw Massacre shouldn't be that movie, but it has been many times. Right. But it shouldn't be. At least the original wasn't. It was a scary, scary movie, true to life, felt very real. You rooted for the character. You rooted for Sally. Maybe some people didn't root for Franklin. I still did. I think Franklin was misunderstood. I love Franklin. And I do feel bad that he got chainsawed to the stomach or chest or whatever.
Right.
Nona says she didn't see character development. Yeah, not really. They had opportunity. I think they glossed over a lot.
Right.
There was potential for good character development, but it was just such a bland. It was such a weak story. The motives were weak. Didn't really make much sense to me. They're buying this town. Yeah, I don't know. It's not much more I can say about that.
No, it was silly.
John from Behind the Fiend says, I think him wearing her face was her taking vengeance through him. She's taking vengeance through him. Oh, that's an interesting theory. I can't say I buy it though, but it's a good way to look at it. If you're trying to put a positive spin on it, then I don't know.
We're making up our own stories to feel better about it.
Yeah. Morgan Welburn, I'm still trying to watch TCM. I'm at 45 mark. I keep leaving to do other stuff, just not holding my attention.
That's one thing. For me, I could sit through it. It did keep my attention the whole time, and I was, happy to watch it. It just had flaws, but I was able to sit there and watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I could do the same. I mean, there was a lot of ridiculous stuff that happens, but it's those kind of ridiculous things that are like, oh my God, are you serious? They did, so it kind of holds when something ridiculous happens in this movie, it holds your attention because it's so bizarre.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Like, man, that Leatherface took a lot of shotgun too, not just,
All right.
He took those shotgun hits like they were nothing,
If I'm not mistaken, he was stabbed in the side as well. So he took the shotgun shots, and he was stabbed in the side, and he got chainsawed up the chin.
Yeah, it's yeah.
there's a
And
lot to keep going.
and then near the end there, that dolphin jump out of the water there. What about that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that water must have been a foot deep, and he crouched down real low
Right,
to get as
right.
low as he possibly can, and then jumped out because that's the only way a 70-year not I wouldn't believe a 70-year-old man could do that anyways.
No, there's no way.
Even in a foot of water, he couldn't do that like that.
There's
But
no way.
man, I laughed. I laughed when I saw it. That was funny. That dolphin jump. Oh my god. Amy Crabtree, also unpopular opinion. I didn't like the ending. It just sets it up for more sequels. Yeah,
That's what they do.
I'm half-hearted on that.
Yeah.
I like the ending, the fact that Leatherface killed that older sister, decapitated
Yeah.
her with the chainsaw,
Yeah.
because I hated the character. I absolutely hated the character. I'm like, I want to see this person die. And to see her get decapitated like that, it was, again, I'm cheering. I don't want to have to cheer for Leatherface when I'm watching
Right.
these movies, but
Right.
man, I cheered when Leatherface decapitated her. But yeah, I don't want to see more sequels.
So-
I don't like Leatherface in modern times. It doesn't work for me. It
no,
just
it's
doesn't
not.
work for me.
Doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah.
I
I
love the
agree, Steve. I
character.
love the character arc of the final girl lead, but wasn't well executed. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was potential for something great there, but it was so flat. The writing was just so flat. My idea would be Leatherface wearing 74 pretty lady mask with the K look with a nasty apron. Oh, apron? Apron, is that what you meant to
Apron.
say?
Apron.
Apron is a new word for me. I'm not sure if it is a real word. Probably a typo.
It's an apron. So it looks so heartbroken.
Mandy Canto and Sally look so heartbroken with Leatherface didn't remember her. Well, yeah, I that was another thing I didn't really get though. I mean, why would you think that Leatherface would remember you really? I mean,
Right.
because you got
Right.
away? I guess because you got away. I mean,
That
I
was
don't
a.
know.
That was a.
But say my name, all that whole
Right.
say my names thing, I just do you really think Leatherface knows your name?
Right.
The only reference
Right.
Sally would have, and we know, and why would why would she ask him to say her name when
Mhm.
she pretty much knows he doesn't talk? I mean, that's
Right.
one thing she must have got out of the character when she was in the original. But the only reference he could have to her name is when Leatherface killed Franklin in the forest. When he says, "Sally, I hear something stop." That quick little "Sally, I hear something stop." Do you really think that would stick with Leatherface, even if he heard it, which he might not have even heard it, really?
Right.
Because he's hiding in the woods and he's getting ready to kill, but that's about it. So I don't know what to say. I thought that was terrible dialogue. There was some bad dialogue. Maybe not quite Texas Chainsaw 3D bad dialogue, but it wasn't there for me, man. Jason Atkinson is here. Hey, man. I hope your movie is filming soon. Do you got Leatherface's masks yet for your movie? We got one of them fully made. I have some molds, pictures of molds that our SFX artist is starting with, and I was going to share those tomorrow. I'm going to share those tomorrow, I think, because he's just shared them with me recently.
Cool.
We start filming in 2 weeks, Jason. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, lots to prepare, and the masks being one of them. We have to have those masks ready. We have 4 masks that Leatherface is wearing in our film.
Wow.
So yeah, it's I again, I like that whole concept of Leatherface
Yeah.
taking on the personality of who he's
Yeah.
wearing.
Yeah.
So that was a big part. I'm not saying that there's not killing going on when he's wearing certain masks, but there is definitely personalities behind them as well. Anyways, Sandy Coronas. I was also hoping to see some more about the farmhouse. Like there could have been such amazing scenes there. I mean, they have Sally, they have Leatherface, they have the OG chainsaw, a fight between them. Yeah, I can understand that a bit. For sure. Any other good comments I should read here? I hate that they kind of showed his face in the back of the van. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. And it definitely didn't look like a 70-plus-year-old guy, too. Robert Gill. Hey, Robert. We're filming at your place in Wharton.
Say my name. Say my name.
Say my name. Who is that again that did that? It's a pop song
Say my name.
I don't know all the pop artists. Sorry, guys. I'm not much of a pop music fan, but I remember the song because, I mean...
Is it Destiny's Child?
Probably. That sounds right. Yeah. Fangoria Faithful, that's Joe, the awesome... if anybody needs graphic art, Joe's the guy. He did the Sawyer Massacre poster. He did the Third Channel poster. I'm sure he's doing lots more other stuff now, logos. He does it all. He's a great guy. Reach out to him if anybody needs any of that kind of stuff done. Awesome dude. Cool. Hello, Steve. Sorry I'm late. No, don't worry about that. Had a nap. It's all good. We need those naps more as we get older, right? There you go. Robert Gale, 4 mask and maybe another on appendage. Maybe, actually. We might show 1 or 2 masks that he doesn't wear. We'll see. We're thinking about. We're looking into that possibility as well.
Cool.
But anyways, the farmhouse with the vast mountains behind it. Totally not Texas. Oh, I know. Oh man. And maybe you can echo this a little bit too, Robert, because I know you're in Texas. I mean, and different areas of Texas have different scenery and stuff like that. And I've heard that there are mountains similar to that in West Texas. I know you're not in West Texas. You're more towards Houston. What about all those sunflower fields? I mean, I've gone online when I'm scouting stuff. I've never seen sunflower fields like that. I'm not saying they don't exist, but to that degree, just seemed like a little much. So maybe you could give me some insight on that as well.
Bizarre.
Leatherface lover. Yeah. We still got that love face person in here. Weird. All I can say is chime in on this movie. The mask looked like the toxic guy from Road. Yeah, I can understand that. No family, no house. Geez, what are these people? Are they thinking? Yeah, it's definitely, And again, I didn't mind seeing the mask in certain angles, certain lighting. Looked better in some certain areas, but yeah. Anyways. There are mountains, but not like that. Okay, yeah, you know better than I do. I've heard that there are mountains in West Texas, but out in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. That's probably too old of a song for any of you guys to know. That's an old country song, folks. Marty Robbins, taking back to 1960, 1959, 1960, somewhere in there. I'm not that old. I just I grew up with old music like that.
Cool.
What is Amy Crabtree? No sunflowers either. Are you in Texas though, Amy? Do you know Texas well? Again, I've never seen that many online. Anyways, again, I'm not a Texas expert, and I'm not really scouting every area of Texas. But man, I've never seen a lot of cornfields. I see a ton of cornfields, but sunflower fields, not so much.
It's kind of odd.
I could be mistaken though. Jason, movie fan, says I like the new TCM, but was as a standalone film. I hope Steve's movie is better. Well, thank you. I hope mine is better too. And yeah, I could see it as a standalone film. If it wasn't a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, it could have had a good film here. It didn't feel like it should have been a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Really, I mean, it's more of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie than Leatherface was, the last one that came out.
Oh yeah,
that really was. That's like as far away from a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film as I have ever seen. That was just so not. And the guy playing Leatherface, I'm like, what are you doing here?
Right.
Anyways, that's that's neither here nor there. It's just my opinion. And this was Canadian Hee Haw with Steve Merlo. I love it. Well, Marty Robbins wasn't Canadian. I think he was Texan. I think so. Grew up on him, man. There you go. Me and Joe both grew up on Marty Robbins. I love Marty. I love the Ranger with the big iron on his hip. I love those gunfighter ballads are just they're timeless. They're timeless to me. To the town of Alfreda rode a stranger one fine day. Hardly spoke to the folks around him, didn't have too much to say. No one dared to ask his business, no one dared to make a slip, for the stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip, a big iron on his hip. So I was just killing you with my. I actually haven't sung in a long time. I'm so out of tune with the singing these days. But anyways,
I liked it.
Believe it or not, I do sing professionally, but I haven't for a while. So
I know
my voice is rough. It's Steve's singing hour. Well, it shouldn't be. I got a cough and everything too. I really shouldn't be singing right now. Guys are gonna get the wrong impression of me as a singer, probably. But you know, what can you do? Right. What can you do? Okay, what else can we talk about as far as this film goes? I mean, okay, here's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Bulgaria was so, because since we're talking about the sunflower fields and the mountains, it was just so obvious that this was not shot in Texas. It was so Bulgarian to me.
Right.
The town of Harlow was such an obvious movie set. Like it really literally looked like a Universal movie set or something. Like you go to Universal Studios and you walk down the movie set that they built. You know,
right.
That's what I felt. And a half-assed one at that. It really just it was that was I'm sorry. I mean, I couldn't believe for a second that was a real town it was a budget thing.
Yeah.
Yet it was a $10 million budget movie, so it's like I can't help but feel like there are producers skimming off the top with some of these movies, you know. I mean, I could be wrong, but it feels like that because where did your $10 million bucks go? I mean, yeah, you got some actors in it. You had Alice Krieg in there, probably. She was hardly in it though. She got killed right away. That's the biggest name actor you had in this movie, though, was Alice Krieg. Right. And it just where did the money go? A lot of the actors felt like they were probably Bulgarian that spoke English. Yeah, like I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know any of them.
Right, they're all no-name actors.
So I mean, you spent a good portion of money on the SFX, I guess, SFX and VFX, because there was definitely some CGI gore.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody was wondering if it was all practical or not. It wasn't all practical. There was a lot of practical, but let's not ignore there was some CGI gore. There was definitely some. For sure. You can't deny it. You can't fool me. I think most people recognize that too. I think most people can see that, yes, there was a fair amount. But yeah, man, there was maybe a couple shots I thought, okay, that looks like Texas, but every time you show those mountains, again, that shot of Leatherface coming out of the sunflower fields with the mountains in the background, I don't feel like that's Texas. I'm not feeling it. I'm not even. It almost that shot when you see Leatherface come up, it almost feels like it was added in post too. For me, it does. I could be wrong.
You could be right.
Like they added Leatherface in post coming up in that. It looks weird to me.
You might be right.
I could be wrong, but maybe somebody can shed more light on that. But I see every time I saw that when I saw it in the trailer, did my trailer reaction on there. When I see it in the movie, it feels like it was added in post. It really does. But again, it could be wrong. I'm no expert on that stuff. It just looks awkward to me. It looks very odd. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the town of Harlow was a big disappointment for me. It was really, I really didn't buy that these kids were in this town to try to do something cool with it. You know,
they were going to buy the whole town. I think the plot was that they were going to buy the town and then rent out the property to elitists or something
Yeah.
along those lines, and it just didn't make any sense to me.
It was weird. It was a weird premise. It
Right.
was a weird premise that I couldn't buy. I couldn't buy it. I
Right.
wanted to. I wanted to somehow buy into it, but I just couldn't. It was so weird. So weird.
Yeah, there was no way. There was no way it was going to happen.
I got to talk about Sally a bit because I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like there was absolutely no need for Sally in this movie.
Right.
It wasn't maybe it wasn't a direct rip off of Laurie Strode in the new ones, but it was certainly suggested because of that. And these new Halloween movies are making so much money, and it just felt like, well, okay, let's put Sally in because having Laurie in the new sure, we'll do things a little different, and they did things a little different with her, but at the same time, it felt forced. I didn't feel a need for Sally in it. I personally feel like this was always my interpretation of the ending is that Sally didn't get away. I mean, she got away, but she really didn't because her life is
Right.
traumatized forever. She is traumatized forever. She may as well be dead.
Right.
And if she was alive today, if Sally was alive today, she would be in a mental hospital. But there's probably a pretty good chance that Sally would have committed suicide within a few years after the original. In my opinion, again, that's how I would interpret it. So Sally got away at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974, but did she really? You know,
Right.
it just doesn't work for me. I don't think Sally is the same as Laurie Strode.
Right.
Yeah, for me, I mean, you got to look at Laurie Strode. Okay, sure, what Laurie Strode went through in the original Halloween was pretty traumatizing, but not like what Sally went through. You know, it was traumatized. The most traumatizing thing for Laurie was probably seeing her friends dead. Getting chased by the shape, Michael Myers, was traumatizing too, but it was a quick thing. It happened quick. It happened within 5 to 10 minutes of that movie. You know, it was 5 to 10 minutes that she was chased, whereas Sally lived through a huge nightmare, saw, terrible things, that dinner table scene, getting her blood sucked by Grandpa, all that stuff that she went through, chased by Leatherface for what seemed forever. And I'm sure it wasn't forever, but I mean, it was physically exhausting. The character was physically drained by the end of that movie. And it's something that would definitely have killed her, no matter whether you get away. I mean, we all have that survivor instinct, but are you really alive after going through that? And I think that's what differs. It also differs that, I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis herself has become a very, very popular actress over the years, and became, synonymous with Halloween. You always wanted to see her in a new Halloween movie, so it really does make sense to bring her into a new Halloween movie. Whereas Marilyn Burns, well, she's dead for one thing. God rest her soul, rest in peace, Marilyn. I think Marilyn Burns was fantastic, but she never had the popularity.
Right.
She was in like one other movie after Chainsaw. So I mean, as much as I love Marilyn Burns and I think she's an underrated screen queen, the character of Sally herself I don't think is popular enough to do that with. And not having Marilyn do it makes it even harder to do, And
Right.
I don't know, it's touchy for me. It just it felt very forced, and I think you could have easily done without her. So that's just my
Definitely.
thought. What are your thoughts?
I agree 100%. They shouldn't have had the character of Sally in the film at all. If they were going to have her in there, then I guess you would only do it if you had Marilyn Burns. You wouldn't want to replace her with another actress. But of course, Marilyn Burns is no longer with us, so they had to get someone else to take on that role, and it was a misfire.
Yeah,
um,
it was
and, and again, Marilyn Burns isn't Jamie Lee Curtis. So, I mean, as much as I love Marilyn Burns in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, she's just the
Mhm.
character was unnecessary.
Yeah. And if I'm being honest, I mean, I think Marilyn Burns in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was way better than Jamie Lee Curtis was
Yeah,
in Halloween. But
yeah,
the fact is, I can't ignore Jamie Lee Curtis had a career after Halloween, and Marilyn
right,
Burns didn't
right.
after Chainsaw. I mean, she, like I said, she was maybe in one or two other films that were not very big,
Hmm.
and it's unfortunate because I think she should have had a career, but she was a great actress.
Yeah, I
Anything you do
agree.
see her, she was in the other Toby Hooper movie, Eaten Alive,
I think they,
and she was great in that as well. So
I think they
so
had
I
her.
mean,
I think they had her cameo in Chainsaw 4. I
that's
think they
right.
had her
Yeah,
on the
they did,
gurney.
but it
Yeah,
was really small.
yeah, real quick thing.
Yeah, and a cameo basically in Chainsaw 3D, Texas Chainsaw 3D, but
Uh,
again, pretty small, very
right,
small.
right,
So I mean, not a lot of movies she was really in.
right.
Unfortunately, again, I think she was a phenomenal actress, and her legacy will always uh, go on in Chainsaw. But it's unfortunate that she didn't have a big career. Jamie Lee Curtis has since become a much better actress than she was in Halloween. I mean, no disrespect to her in Halloween, but I didn't think she was great in Halloween. I didn't think a lot of the young actors in Halloween were that great, to be honest with you. I mean,
I agree.
If it wasn't for Donald
Right.
Pleasance and Sheriff Brackett, what's his name? I'm
I don't know
blanking on his name
offhand.
right now, but I'll know his name once. But if it wasn't for them, the acting wouldn't be so hot, really. Basically,
Right.
uh, yeah. Um, so I mean, it's Jamie Lee Curtis just got better over the years, and even a lot of her stuff in the '80s, I wasn't a big fan of either. And she had to get better, but she got popular. I mean, maybe it was the way maybe she was an attractive lady. I don't know. I never really found Jamie Lee Curtis that attractive myself either. But
Yeah.
even in her younger days, she was kind of always mad to me. But people got behind her. I don't know
Right.
why they didn't get behind Marilyn Burns, but it's the way it is. And it's unfortunate, but yeah, just I don't see Sally being in this movie. I don't see the need for Sally in any Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. I think there was a missed that was a bad judgment call on the studios. By the way, you have to blame the studios. Eaten Alive is head of porn. May as well be. Well, it's another Toby Hooper movie. Have you not seen that movie, Robert? See Eaten Alive. Robert Englund is in that, as I recall too. A young Robert Englund before Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it was like 1978 or something. Eaten Alive. Check it out. Um, what else was I going to talk about? I just want to. Here's another thing I want to say too. It does seem like the people making the film of this
Hmm.
new Texas Chainsaw Massacre did a good job. The people making the film, so going from everybody who did obviously the director, the cinematographer, the actors, I mean they did the best they could with what they had to work with. The studios gave them what they got, they gave them basically. I mean it's unfortunate. They gave them the studio gave them the script that they had to work with. They gave them the set design. They arranged all that stuff. They made them shoot in Bulgaria. That's a studio thing. So I mean, if anybody needs to take the blame for this movie, it's the studio that made it. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. The hardworking people that worked on the film did a great job with what they had. So I just want to make sure people understand that. I have no disrespect to David Blue Garcia on this movie. In fact, the guy came in with like a week's preparation to make this movie. So I mean, he has to be given props. He definitely gets a pass on this movie, and maybe hopefully this movie doesn't ruin his career. I don't think it will because it is popular
No.
somewhat. It is making money on Netflix as far as I can see, but it's again, it doesn't have good reviews, so that's the problem. I think the last I saw it was 31% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oof.
So I mean, that's not good. That's not good for a new director, unfortunately. So I want to
Right.
support new directors. I bet he could do something pretty awesome. but and he did great with what he had. Unfortunately, it's just the studio didn't give them much to work with, and that's the real fault for me with this film. And again, $10 million isn't a big budget. It is considered small budget these days for a studio,
Right.
but the $10 million should have went further than that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they shoot it in Bulgaria. They shoot it in Bulgaria because in Bulgaria they don't have to worry about permits. They build their set and all this. They avoid so many fees and stuff like that when you shoot it in a place like Bulgaria. So, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. I get it, but I don't like it. I don't like that they shoot this stuff in Bulgaria. Why? I get it, but not a Texas Chainsaw. If you want to shoot other films in Bulgaria, I get you. Not a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, please. Anyways, anything you want to add to that?
Oh no, I think the director will be okay. He'll get another chance to make something else, and I'm sure he'll come up with something cool. Like you said, he came into the project and just did the best he could with it. I actually just had a conversation a couple days ago with Cyrus Alderwood on his podcast. We talked about how the studios get involved, and they're a little bit too involved sometimes, and they just don't let the directors kind of take their own direction. And they have statistics that they're looking at, and they want this done this way because some number popped up on the computer or something. And at the end of the day, they just get too involved sometimes, and we end up with a Bulgarian Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope that the people that worked on this movie are going to have good careers.
Right.
But it's hard to say. I mean, I really hope that I get to see another film by David Blue Garcia, maybe something with not so much studio involvement.
Right.
I heard he does have. It's only like a short film. I think I could be wrong. I might want to check it out now, just because I think this guy did the best he could with what he had, and I was still entertained. I cannot complain about the way it was directed, and the cinematography. It was those things are a big positive. It makes me want to see more that these guys can do. It really is a studio thing, unfortunately, and it is what it is. Okay, let's go back to the chat just for a bit, just to see what everybody's saying. I won't go back too far. We'll go here. We'll start with Robert. In Halloween, the only reason he wanted to come back to the house was not to mess with Laurie, but it was to look at his reflection in the window, his safe place. Jeez. Yeah. They should have mentioned her name or have the gas station employee tell the story about her after she got away. Well, I could see that.
Well, they showed something on the TV.
Yeah, they showed something on the TV.
That's how it opened. Yeah.
They had John Larroquette's narration there too. They had not as a narration, but as a news voice, which is good for that too. I can't complain about that. It's like they did the John Larroquette thing, but in a different way, not as a narration, but as a news anchor or whatever, or news reporter.
Right.
Type of voice. They could have used Sally again, but I don't think the other movies after the original never really took the story of Leatherface seriously until the 03 version.
They tried.
Yeah, they tried. She was hot in True Lies. Okay. She was never hot to me, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Me
I don't know. I never found her attractive. Oh, we read that one already.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes. Joking. Jamie was Hollywood royalty, so she was Yeah, that's probably a big reason that she had famous parents.
Right.
Tony Curtis or whatever was her dad. So that makes sense. It makes sense. Sorry, she said she was never given a fair shake. Is that what Marilyn said? She was given a fair shake. You can't turn chicken shit into chicken salad. I love these comments. These are great. Robert, you're good with the comments. Bulgaria, how much were the travel fees? Not as much as the other fees they would have paid. Probably. Believe it or not, I mean, they probably fly these people in private jets. They fly everything over, and they already have studios there with all the gear and stuff like that. And they hired local talent, which I mean, local crew and stuff like that. Like, if you look at the credits, look at all the Bulgarian names as far as crew goes. I'm serious. No, I'm not even kidding. Like,
Yeah.
but the fact is, these Bulgarian crews are going to work a lot cheaper than American crews. I guarantee that.
Think about how much money they saved not putting it in theaters too.
Yeah, that's a distribution thing, and I'm not exactly sure how that would have worked, because you know what, I don't think Legendary is in charge of that. It was supposed to go to like Warner Brothers or something like that for distribution, and my guess is Warner Brothers didn't want to distribute it. They probably saw the movie and saw
They're like,
that
no way.
This movie's dog shit. We're going to lose money on this if we set up a big distribution campaign, because Warner Brothers they'd have to pay to put it in theaters. They'd have to pay for all the marketing, and I could see them not wanting to do a big marketing campaign for that movie. With that said, Netflix took it, and they still market it. It's not like Netflix just put it on their platform. I believe that like all the trailers and stuff were cut by some people from Netflix. I could be wrong on that. Legendary could have done that, but I doubt it, because I think because that would have cost Legendary more money, and I don't think they would have, they would have wanted to do all that marketing stuff if they knew they weren't going to make money off of it. So it's a tough call. I mean, I think Netflix probably did all the marketing for it. Mind you, they didn't do anything until the end of last year. The only teaser came out in late December, I think. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a huge marketing campaign, but they got aggressive close to the movie, which was probably a smart move. They did their most marketing, weeks before the movie, basically. And that was probably a smart move. I got to give Netflix credit on that. If they break even or make money on this movie, it's probably because of how they decided to market it, which would have been, not too expensive marketing, but at the same time, enough to get her done. Oh, Matt Skinner is headed out for the night. Good night, Anthony and everyone. Hey, talk to you later.
Good night,
Thank
Matt.
you for joining in, Matt. Thank you so much. Robert again. Yes, sorry. Marilyn told us she was barely making it. Yeah, but the appearances and meet and greets started, so she was able to be okay. Yeah, I know Marilyn did okay as financially as a person.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't so much how much she made from being a movie star, but she received a lot because of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She did a lot of conventions and other stuff, that I know that she did fairly well. It's unfortunate she was a heavy smoker, I guess, and that was really ultimately the big thing that took her early from us. I mean, she wasn't young or anything like that, but she was too young to go, I think, but we all go at different times. Who knows when I'm going to go? I don't smoke or anything, but I could have a heart attack anytime, and it's all over. You just never know. It's our time when it's our time.
I think you're going to be around for a long time.
Oh, I hope so. I sure hope so. But, I don't want to be here forever either. I just hope that I've made a few good movies, and my kids see me grow up, or I get to see my kids grow up. They're not going to see me grow up. Other way around there, Steve. I think I've pretty much hit all my big bullet points on this movie. Yeah, we talked about the dolphin jump. A lot of unrealistic stuff happened.
Yeah.
Like Leatherface getting shot, and not just Leatherface. How about Leatherface taking the chainsaw to Sally and cutting right through her and stuff like that? And you're gonna tell me she's not a corpse right away, and she's kind of hanging on and got a final shot away at him and stuff like that. It's just, that's ridiculous.
And
It's
able, yeah,
ridiculous to think that could ever happen. You get a
able to.
chainsaw, you get gutted with a chainsaw, you're done. You don't have 5 minutes left remaining of your life or something like that. You're instantly dead. You are instantly done. So, it was sure, excuse me, suspension of disbelief, sure, but there's a limit. there's
Right,
only so much I'm gonna look at and say, come on, what the hell is that? You
right.
know, I mean, I don't know. Am I overthinking that? But I don't know.
No,
For
I
me,
thought about it. I
it
thought
was too
about it
much.
too.
So Leatherface is one
Yeah.
thing. Leatherface taking how many gunshots, and
Right.
he did deflect one gunshot though with his
Okay.
chainsaw, which was
Okay.
totally bizarre too. I mean, but whatever. Didn't they actually talk about doing that in Texas Chainsaw 3? Like that was in the original script or something of Texas Chainsaw 3D that Leatherface was deflecting bullets and stuff like that with his chainsaw.
Wouldn't
And they
surprise me.
when they just said, no, that's too unrealistic. We got to take that out. Yeah, you see some of the other stuff that happens in that movie, and it's not doesn't say but it happened in this
Right.
movie. It was just once, but still, even once.
Right.
I mean, if it would have happened twice, that would have been too much. But maybe once, I can let pass. I don't know. It's hard to believe though. It's hard to believe it can happen. I mean, it's a fluke, but
Right.
we can see a fluke happening once. If it happened more than once, then it's like, okay, you're being ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That couldn't happen.
Yeah.
But it would be a fluke if he did. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, a lot of again. I think I got everything. I think I've ranted. I mean, I hope people don't think I'm totally shitting on this movie. Because at the end of the day, I still think I do think it's a better movie than Texas Chainsaw 3D and Leatherface, the last two movies that came out. I'm not sure where I would rank this movie as a whole, but I still have to rank it better than those because I had more enjoyment with this one. Leatherface from 2017 just wasn't a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. No matter,
Right.
not that this one really feels like it either, but it feels much more like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film than that one ever could.
Right.
And Texas Chainsaw 3D is just so ridiculous, and not in a good way. I mean, I wanna be able to watch Texas Chainsaw 3D and be able to laugh at that movie because of how ridiculous stuff is.
Right.
But for me, it's just so stupid. It's just so dumb. I can't get behind it. Hey, Chad's Corner. That's Chad Sumner, I believe. Yes, it is Chad Sumner. Hey, Chad, how you doing? Haven't seen you for a while. Hope all is well. I know you guys have finished shooting My Special Boy and coming out soon. From what I heard, I'm excited for it. Very excited
cool.
for it. That's a Friday the 13th fan film, in case some people didn't know. Sackhead Jason. There you go.
Cool.
Anyways, thank you for tuning in, Chad. Robert Gill. It is good news for your film because this movie and the new game, these will hype Leatherface and help us. I hope so.
I'm thinking so.
I think so. I mean, yeah, I think people are going to see our movie regardless. I think so. Even though Texas Chainsaw Massacre doesn't have maybe the biggest, but this will definitely help it. I think it's still a pretty big franchise. It's not as big as Halloween or Friday the 13th or anything. Chet's Corner, good. How you been, man? I've been busy. I'm two weeks away from filming the Sawyer Massacre now, so that's the long and short of that. We're 2 weeks away. I leave for Texas in a week, and it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. Excited though. Excited. Super excited. So there you go. I think I've said all I need to say, man. Do you have anything you want to finish with?
It was a fun watch. It didn't feel like a Texas Chainsaw movie, but it felt like it was paying homage to the Texas Chainsaw. And so I enjoyed it. It was under an hour and a half long, so I feel like I got my money's worth out of it, and had a nice time watching it, and it wasn't perfect, but it was fun to watch it.
Yeah, I can agree. It wasn't a painful watch. It's probably good that it wasn't so long. It was only 75
Yeah,
minutes or something.
yeah, somewhere in
So
there.
that probably helps it a little bit, because if it was dragging on too much, then it might end up being more painful for somebody like me to watch.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I do feel like there was some missed opportunities. I feel like the whole anti-gun uh, feel that people get is, even though I understand it, I feel like there was an execution thing there. So I mean, it's yeah, it's a tough one. I think there's potential for it to be better. Mind
Yeah.
you, with the premise, I still think it wouldn't have been great even if they cleaned up a few things. I don't think Leatherface works in modern times.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
the
yeah.
something about the cinematography too. I liked it a lot, but for a Texas Chainsaw film, I want to feel like I want to forget that I'm watching a movie. It's almost meant to feel like a documentary of sorts, or like not found
Yeah.
footage, but almost like that subconsciously, where it's
Almost,
like,
I would, if there's one Texas Chainsaw Massacre film I would like to see, as a found footage version. I think if you set it in the 90s, somebody said a movie in the 90s when, video cameras, handy cams and stuff were really kind of a popular thing, like the
mhm,
Blair Witch Project, around that era, man, you could have something pretty cool. I'd love to, I still think, and I've said this on my show before when I was talking about who should direct a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film.
yeah,
I totally think that the directors that did the Blair Witch Project would make a pretty cool Texas Chainsaw Massacre found footage version. It doesn't necessarily have to be found footage, but I think you could do it. I totally think you could do a found footage Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. That's just my opinion. I'm not making a found footage one, no, but I don't think they didn't have handy cams back in the mid 60s, so it doesn't really work with my film. But I would actually like to see that. I think that would be something cool to see. I mean, found footage stuff isn't the same as it was with Blair Witch. It's
right,
definitely evolved and become much more Hollywood. I haven't really seen a real indie found footage film for a long time, and I kind of miss that. I don't really like these Hollywood found footage movies.
yeah,
They're too Hollywood for me,
right,
and miss that grit. I think they try to recapture that feel, but it's Hollywood still. You can't fake it. So, anyways, Robert Kill. So you want a Blair Witch Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Man, there are certain things in my film that are definitely inspired by Blair Witch Project. I'll say that.
yeah,
So I'm not. Again, we're not going to be a found footage movie, but I am one of those people that loves the Blair Witch Project. I think there is something there. There is a similar feel. There is definitely a similar feel between the Blair Witch Project and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, both of them are very disturbing. Both of them have very, very realistic acting, and I think that's
yeah,
something people don't realize. I mean, I keep getting this conversation that keep seeing it on Facebook, in Facebook threads, that Rob Zombie should direct the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, and I just can't get behind that.
no, I'm not with it.
A big reason is I'm not a fan of Rob Zombie, but at the same time, I just don't think that he he has the right idea. I don't think he has the right idea. I could be wrong, but I don't think he would make a good Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. And maybe his vision would be more right for Texas Chainsaw Massacre than Halloween, but at the same time, I don't think it would be good. I don't think it would be good. I think he likes that kind of redneck stuff, and House of a Thousand Corpses was supposedly really inspired by Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but
Right.
I don't think it works. I personally don't. Personally don't. Amy Crabtree loves the '03 version. I'm hit and miss. I'm kind of all over the map with the '03 version. I love certain things about it and hate other things about it. uh, why do y'all not like the '03 and the '06 one? I did a video. I never really went into the '06 version, but I kind of feel like the '06 version is probably something similar to what Rob Zombie would do to a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The 03 not so much, but the 03 had some great things about it, but it also had some things that pissed me off too. Mostly with, I guess my biggest thing was some of the actors were pretty bad. I didn't like Jessica Biel in it at all. I didn't feel like it was in the 70s. I didn't feel like they captured the 70s vibe at all. They felt like a modern movie pretending to be the 1970s. The costume design, the costumes that these characters were wearing, didn't feel 70s. Arlie Ermy was great in it though. I mean, there's so much I can go on about it. Leatherface's costume though in the 03 version, man, what the hell is he wearing? It just doesn't feel realistic. I feel like they tried to turn him into like Frankenstein's monster rather than the realistic human being that I want to present, that I want to see presented.
Right.
So that the clothes he was wearing just didn't feel realistic. Those are just some of my big flaws with that film. But it's still probably my second favorite movie in the franchise after the original, probably.
It's one of the better ones.
I might do a new ranking over in the future. I might. I need this one to sink in a little bit more, see where it lands. I think it definitely lands higher than both Texas Chainsaw 3D and Leatherface, though. So, in kind of a way, it's a bit of a win for me because we didn't get something as bad as those movies. And, so I guess it's a bit of a win, a little bit. Anyways, well, thank you, Anthony, for being my guest tonight on my show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It was just kind of a last-minute suggestion.
Yeah.
So it worked out good that we could do it. If I hadn't had a StreamYard link, I couldn't have done it. Luckily, I made this with a StreamYard link rather than a simple OBS link, which sometimes I do because there's certain things I like about OBS better.
Right.
But I can't have guests on the OBS. I can only do them through StreamYard. So it worked out good. There you go. We'll read Robert's final comment here. I have talked to Rob and hand to God. I've talked to Rob and hand to God. He was tricked into by Weinstein brothers. Go figure. Weinstein's tricked a lot of people, but they promised he could do his movie Tyrannosaurus Rex's comic. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what we're talking about. Well, I do see John from Doomsday Crypt is here. Sorry, I missed most of the show. Best of luck to you both. Oh, thanks, John.
John Henderson.
Thanks for tuning in last second. I'm glad you at least caught a bit of it.
Thank you.
And another great supporter in the horror community. So thanks again for coming on the show, Anthony. And we look forward to your Batman fan film and your slasher as well.
Thank you.
It's exciting stuff. Wish you all the best of luck on the crowdfunding campaign.
Thank you so much.
Wish me luck in Texas is all I can say.
All right,
we'll see you, Anthony.
Bye.
Maybe we'll see you there too. I don't know. All right, have a good one, man. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you so much.
Right. Bye, Anthony. Okay, guys, we're just gonna wrap right up. Thank you all for tuning in. You won't see me do another one of these live streams till April, and hopefully I'll have good things to say about how the filming went when that all goes. But thank you guys all for tuning in. You guys are awesome once again. Really appreciate the support. So keep the channel going. Keep inviting people to check out my content if you want or not. And if we get more trolls, that's fine too. I don't know who this Loveface XYZ is, but you know what? Whatever. It's something interesting. So it's all good. Thank you all, guys. Looking forward to going to Texas. I'll keep you guys posted on how everything goes. And thank you all and have a good night. See you guys.